So, on a personal note, I'll tell you, I have an affection towards Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz is just a great guy, and he's a real guy. I mean, he's a real human being. Like, he does what he says he's going to do. He's a loyal guy. He lives his life by a specific code. Just a really easy guy to respect. And I would like, in my own little way, visiting with you guys, sharing this platform, to help Nate in whatever message Nate happens to have. I'm just very unclear as to what that message is right now. I don't know if he wants the rematch with Conor, which I fully believe is a card that they're going to throw on the table at some point. If he wants to shift gears and point the cannon directly at Masvidal, because that's also one that Nate has never agreed with and has never set well with him. I don't know if he also is extending that with like a title fight with Usman, or if he's now got some kind of heat with Gilbert Burns. I mean, he's starting to fire in a lot of directions, but that's always a good sign. Like, what it takes to get Nate back, to get him into the practice room, he goes every single day. He's either doing his own practice or he's coaching a practice, but he's on the mat every day. That's not the issue. What it was that is that sparks and motivates a guy like Nate Diaz to step into to take that next leap. No one fully knows. He's an animal, and if you back him in a corner or you insult him the right way, you're going to be fighting Nate Diaz. But what is that right way? What is it that's motivating him right now? I will just tell you I'm unclear, but as he starts to get chatter going, he means it. And where that, right, it's musical chairs, and who's going to be left without a seat when the music stops, we're yet to find out, but we're starting to find out who some of the players are. One thing that Nate Diaz did that was so cool, I mean, amongst the cool things that Nate ever did is when he called out Masvidal. But when he called out Masvidal, he was very complimentary, and he was in the octagon at the time he did it. He had just defeated Anthony Pettis, essentially in his hometown. It wasn't in Stockton, but he was in LA. I mean, he sold out this arena. He sold out the weigh-ins. They were all there to see Nate Diaz. He comes up onto the set of ESPN afterwards, and of course, he was asked about the call out of Masvidal. Look, if Nate Diaz calls you out, you're going to be fighting Nate Diaz if you so choose to. I mean, the decision makers are going to sign right off on that. So we just asked him about it. And Nate said, well, let me, I'm changing the words, but it was, let me calm whatever fires you think are stoked here on a personal level. This actually comes from respect. I started looking at Masvidal's record. Masvidal's been doing this as long as I have. One thing that pisses me off in this sport is where I am placed in this sport and what little opportunity I have been given for as long as I have been doing it. And watching Johnny come lately come along and take some spots that should be my spot. Now, I don't even know if I agree with that statement of Nate. It seems as though anything Nate wants, Nate gets. It seems like that from where I'm sitting, but it seems to him where he's sitting is a little bit different. And the mere fact that he was willing to play by the same rules that he thought that other people should be playing towards him, that was cool. That was a respectful thing. He didn't call George out because he thought that was an easy fight. He didn't call him out because he thought that was a big fight, or he knew that was going to be at Madison Square Garden, or The Rock was going to be there, or fill in the blanks, the BMF title, anything that came along with it. That wasn't at all what his motivation was. His motivation was going, look at this guy. You got this guy over here named George Masvidal, who's been out there doing his thing, and I am quoting, and he said, where the hell's this guy's respect? I got a little shine right now. I got somebody I can put in the passenger seat, and I'm going to bring Masvidal along. Now, store that thought, because I talked to Masvidal yesterday, and Masvidal, as part of Fight Week and part of all of the media opportunities that he's been given to talk about when and where and why, and we're talking about Fight Island Saturday night on ESPN against Kamaru Usman, but he used that to then say, if I beat Usman and I become the champion, the first guy I'm fighting is Nate Diaz. So I just asked Masvidal about that statement. Where is that coming from? Is this an animosity about the narrative of your guys' fight being stopped prematurely by the doctor and you want to close the book on this? Did Nate do something within that battle or after the battle that upset you? Masvidal said, no, man, it's none of those things. I needed an opportunity at one point in my life, and he gave it to me. And if I ever get in a spot where I can return the favor, I'm going to. And it was a hard stop right there. But for all of the same reasons that I very much respected Nate Diaz, I very much respect the code of George Masvidal, which is the code of the street. If somebody does you a favor, you do them a favor. And even if it's combat and it's based around hostility, it's under the unified rules, which is pretty darn wide open, a favor is still a favor. And if you owe one, you pay it back.